Hey you guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Today is more of a fitness video and we are going to talk about how I grew my glutes. So I've been a personal trainer for about 2 years now, and before that I always had a hard time gaining weight and gaining muscle. I was more of like a cardio person. I ran cross country and all I really did like in high school and things like that was run, do push-ups in my room, and a bunch of ab exercises until I couldn't anymore. I'm gonna go through about 4 things that really helped me grow my glutes these past few years, primarily like this past like 6 to 9 months, okay? If you see me looking at my phone, it's just because I have like a whole outline laid out for you. So if you are wanting to learn how to grow your glutes, I would totally grab like a piece of paper and a pencil and write down all the tips that I'm going to share with you and really try to implement them. Because for a long time, I think it was just a lack of knowledge, and that's why it took so long to grow them, because I kept making these silly mistakes, or I kept just expecting them to somehow grow when I really wasn't doing the proper steps. Number one thing that helped me grow my glutes was my nutrition. I had to really look at what I was intaking and shortly realized that I wasn't intaking enough actually. So when we're working out and when we're exercising and strength training, we're tearing our muscles apart. We're like causing little tears in our muscles, and basically the real change in your physique comes from the nutrition. It's super important to get enough protein in. I usually tell my clients, and like the rule of thumb for myself is at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. There's no reason to do like 2 or 3 grams of protein per body weight. I would stick with like 1 to 1.5. So there are 3 macronutrients that we literally need to survive. So that is protein, you got that in, right? There are carbs, carbohydrates, and then there's also fats. So whoever told you that carbs are terrible and you should stay away from them and carbs will make you fat or whatever, because there's just so many like there's so much false information out there, just ignore that person, because carbs are actually really good for you. Carbs are fuel. Carbs are gonna help you really fuel up and charge up so that you can lift heavier weight, which I'll talk about when I talk about progressive overload and things like that. But they sustain you throughout your workout, so that you're able to increase the intensity, increase the weight, increase the reps, whatever it may be in your workout. You need fuel. So something that I did was I remained in a calorie surplus for like 8 months or so, like 8 to 9 months, because I wanted and I needed time to build that muscle and also just build strength as well. Next, we're gonna talk about what I actually did in the gym, okay? Something that I implemented heavily, and you should in order to get some progress and see the results that you're wanting and build that muscle, is progressive overload. I'll talk about progressive overload in another video as well, which I'll put up here. But the idea and the reason behind progressive overload is to force your muscles to work a little bit harder each week, okay? And put a little bit extra stress under that muscle in order for them to tear more, and you can repair them through your nutrition. If you don't increase weights, if you don't increase the rep, if you only work out your glutes every other week, you won't really see the results because your body's not having to adapt to anything new. Kiska, she's attacking this fly right now. Kiska, I'm sorry, I'm gonna let my cat chase this fly. Another thing that I did in the gym was I actually decreased the amount of cardio that I was doing. So like I said, I used to run a lot and all of that. I slowed all of that down and just worked on strength training because that was my goal. You know, I wanted to build, so I didn't want to use all of that energy that I was consuming, or all those calories I was consuming just to get through cardio. So yeah. Strength training was my main focus. Another thing that I did was prioritize hip hinge movements, Romanian deadlift, sumo deadlifts, and I started working on a lot more and working on those movements. And I never used to warm up my glutes before I started working out. And honestly, when I heard about glute activation for the first time, I was like, is this even like a thing, or is this kind of, you know, like what's the point of this? I feel like I got a much better understanding of targeting my glutes during compound movements by implementing glute activation, because I'm kind of waking up my glutes before I actually go into a heavier lift. So I was kind of teaching my glutes to work harder rather than my quads taking over the majority of that workout, if that makes sense. Obviously, compound movements are amazing, and that's what's really going to help you grow overall. But try to really focus on isolating your glutes as well, so that you can grow that mind muscle connection, actually feel the contraction of your glutes, and that will help you so much, promise. I love doing drop sets of everything, okay? So even if I go super heavy and I hit that strength goal and I do a few reps at a super heavy weight, say for RDLs or hip thrusts or something like that, I always drop the weight back down, and I maintain that time under tension. I increase that time under tension, which is part of progressive overload. But I slowly like rep out. I burn out my glutes so that I know that like there's nothing else in the tank for me to give at the end of my workout. If I'm leaving the gym and like I don't feel my glutes for a glute workout, if I'm not feeling my glutes like burning, and if I don't feel that uncomfortable feeling almost, then I didn't push myself to the max. And that's the whole point, to like go past that stress threshold that your body already has and like really push your glutes, really push the muscle that you're trying to build, and maximize that time in the gym. Last thing that I want to talk about is rest days. Not working out your glutes Monday through Friday. That's not gonna help them grow. I know like what I've said is, oh, you're tearing your muscle, the more you do that, the more they'll grow because you just eat a bunch of food and then it heals or whatever. No, like you really need time to rest those muscles, because during sleep, during that 8 hours of sleep you should be getting, and during those rest days, that's where they are like being mended and growing and repairing for you. So it's super important to prioritize rest and not skip out on rest days. And like I said, sleep is so huge. You could be missing out on a lot of muscle gain just because you're not sleeping enough and you're putting more stress on your body. So your body is not focusing on building that muscle. Your body is like in survival mode because you're not sleeping enough. Just like if you're not eating enough, your muscles aren't really gonna build.